as it is for the British people. So we move now to the next stage of our plan. Decisions we take in coming days and weeks will be guided only by our national interest. Nothing else will guide me. That is my focus. And clearly there will be an economic impact from the decisions that the US has taken. I said that in my first speech as Prime Minister, and that is how I govern. That is how we have planned, and that is exactly what is required today.
67% of British exports could face punishing tariffs if Starmer fails to secure a US trade deal, and he just undermined his own Chancellor's negotiating position in spectacular fashion. This isn't just poor communication, it's potentially catastrophic leadership. Reeves' statement about prioritising EU trade relationships triggered an immediate public correction from Downing Street, creating a spectacle of division that's already sending investors running for cover. The financial markets have noticed what many haven't. Starmer's government is fractured at precisely the moment when unity is vital for Britain's economic survival. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Let's peel back the layers of what just happened in Washington DC, because this wasn't just a diplomatic faux pas.
The ruthless approach when it comes to finances and spending. Yes, we will be ruthless, as we have been ruthless in the decisions that we've taken. The changes we're bringing about, whether it's industrial strategy, planning, energy, etc., all of these are designed to ensure that we get the growth that we need. AI as well. So far, we've got clear fiscal rules, and we're going to keep to those fiscal rules, and that's why the Chancellor was absolutely right in the words that she chose to describe the approach that we will take.
It was a calculated political sacrifice. Rachel Reeves, standing on American soil during critical trade negotiations, dropped what can only be described as a diplomatic hand grenade. I understand why there's so much focus on our trading relationship with the US, she told Treasury Secretary Scott Bassent. But actually our trading relationship with Europe is arguably even more important because they're our nearest neighbours and trading partners. Just let that sink in for a moment. The UK Chancellor, dispatched to secure vital American goodwill, essentially told US officials that they're second-tier partners compared to the EU. And she did this not in a private meeting but publicly, creating a media spectacle that sent immediate shockwaves through Downing Street. The timing couldn't have been worse. Britain was facing the very real threat of punishing American tariffs, a potential 10% levy across all UK exports, and a crushing 25% tax specifically targeting British cars, steel and aluminium. These weren't hypothetical concerns.
And that is why I'm confident in our mission for growth, and I'm confident, completely confident in my team. We never pretended, nor would anybody sensibly argue, that after 14 years of failure, in 6 months, it's going to take time. The question is, are you creating the conditions? Do you have the determination? You can turn around our economy and our public services before Christmas, before the election. I said it's not going to be possible to do this.
But imminent economic threats that could devastate British industry. And in this pressure cooker environment, Reeves effectively told America, "You're important, but not as important as Europe." Starmer's reaction was swift and ruthless. Within hours, his official spokesman issued what amounts to a public dressing down of his own Chancellor. Both the EU and the US are incredibly important to the UK. It is not a binary choice. The speed of this correction speaks volumes. This wasn't a measured response after careful consideration. It was emergency damage control executed with surgical precision. What makes this particularly fascinating is the audience Starmer was truly addressing. While ostensibly correcting the record for British voters, the real recipients of this message were Trump's allies, who are scrutinising these negotiations with hawk-like intensity. Every nuance.
Nonetheless, I want to be clear. I will only strike a deal if it is in our national interest, and if it is the right thing to do for the security of working people. So today marks a new stage in our preparations. We have a range of levers at our disposal, and we will continue our work with businesses across the country. We have to understand that, just as with defence and security, so too for the economy and trade. We are living in a changing world, entering a new era.
Every word choice was being analysed for signs of where Britain's true allegiances lie. Would Starmer's government pivot toward Brussels or commit to a special relationship with Washington? Reeves had inadvertently answered that question in the most damaging way possible. The financial markets responded immediately to this display of governmental division. Investor confidence, already shaky in post-Brexit Britain, took another hit. The pound wobbled as traders processed what this public disagreement meant for Britain's economic future. Would internal political squabbles derail the country's ability to secure favourable trade terms? The uncertainty alone was enough to spook markets at a moment when stability was desperately needed. What we're witnessing isn't merely Starmer correcting a diplomatic misstep. It's a Prime Minister willing to publicly undermine one of his most senior ministers to preserve Britain's economic lifeline. The calculation appears brutally simple. Reeves's reputation is expendable if it means salvaging the American relationship. By publicly rebuking her, Starmer sent a clear signal to Washington. Don't worry about what my Chancellor said. I'm in charge, and I value our relationship differently. This transforms the incident from a simple gaffe into something far more calculated. Starmer didn't just correct Reeves, he used her as a sacrifice in a high-stakes diplomatic game. The message to American negotiators was clear. I'll publicly discipline my own people to maintain our relationship. It's a power move designed to demonstrate both control and commitment to American interests. But there's something profoundly troubling about a Prime Minister so willing to throw his Chancellor under the diplomatic bus. These aren't junior ministers or backbenchers. This is Britain's economic chief being publicly contradicted and undermined. The hierarchy of Starmer's priorities becomes starkly clear. Appeasing American trade interests trumps maintaining the dignity and authority of his own cabinet. The long-term consequences of this calculated betrayal may prove more damaging than the immediate diplomatic incident. Reeves now enters future negotiations, both domestic and international, as someone known to be expendable, someone whose boss will publicly contradict her if politically expedient. Her authority is diminished, her position weakened, and all because Starmer prioritised foreign perceptions over cabinet solidarity. Most revealing is what this incident tells us about Starmer's approach to leadership. When pressure mounted, his instinct wasn't to stand by his Chancellor and present a united front. It was to create distance, to sacrifice her credibility to preserve his own standing. This isn't leadership that builds team loyalty. It's leadership that creates fearful subordinates anxious about becoming the next public example. This extraordinary public rebuke hasn't just embarrassed Reeves, it's exposed critical fault lines within the Labour government. Serious questions are being asked about Labour's economic strategy and whether Starmer really has control over his team, according to Westminster insiders. The fallout has triggered alarm bells among international observers and financial markets alike, who now question the coherence of Britain's economic direction. What we're witnessing is a Prime Minister willing to sacrifice internal unity at precisely the moment when Britain needs to project strength. Is this a government making decisions based on sound economic principles, or one desperately performing for foreign powers while its foundation crumbles? This may well be just the beginning of Labour's unravelling.